Hey good people, welcome back to Money's Book List. So we are here to do a bookish tag, and I just went to various blog sites and gathered as many questions as I could. So there's about 50 plus questions on here that I'm going to, I say 50 plus, I think plus 2 or 3. So I'm going to try to answer them all now. And I would like to say 2 things before we begin. First, I will list all of the places where I got these questions and their combination. So I didn't get all questions from one site. I just jumbled them together. So all of my resources are listed below. Outside of that, let's go ahead and agree that it's okay for you to think I have bad taste in books. Let's go ahead and agree that you might not like my choice of favored authors or something like that. Let's go ahead and agree to that right now. And let me just go ahead and say, I said what I said. I mean what I say. So if you would like to come for me and have a beautiful conversation about my book choices, you're welcome to, and I will do my best to respect you. All right, so let's go ahead and get into these questions. First question, favorite book series of all time. There is no doubt in my mind that I can go ahead and answer this question with and not feel guilty. Harry Potter. If you exclude your feelings for the author, Harry Potter was probably one of the best fantasy books I've ever read, series I've ever read in my entire life. Okay, next question. Now some of these questions are from younger people, so be mindful of that. Second is, are you a dork, nerd, dweeb, or all of the above? First of all, labels aren't nice if they're mean, okay? I mean, if you want to label me a goddess supreme of reading, I'm that. Other than that, I have been called everything. I've been called a nerd. I refer to myself respectfully as a geek. So again, I'm a goddess supreme of reading and a geek. That's what I would refer to myself. An author you've read the most books from. Now, so I had to go do some homework on this because there's quite a few people I read a lot from, and then I even went as far as to break it down a bit for this answer. So in romance, surprisingly, there's a tie between Nana Malone, I've read 10 of her books, and Avery Flynn, I've read 10 of her books. And then in, my other genre of murder mystery that I like, I would say Carrie Greenwood. I've read 20 of her books. And then there's the Reese Bowen series. I've read 12 of her books. And those are because those are really deep series. So if the one series by Carrie, or is it Carrie? It's Carrie. Carrie Greenwood is because the character is a wealthy socialite. So there's a bunch of books written about her, and they're all set in the 20s. In either, is it Australia or is it New Zealand? It's one of the, I think it's Australia. Anyway, so let's keep going. There's a lot of questions I gotta get through. Okay, best sequel ever. Sorry, I wanted to say sequence. Best sequel ever. There's so many good sequels out there, but I'm gonna go with Helen Kwan's. No, I didn't like her sequel. Talia Hilbert. Act Your Age, Danny Brown. Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Or take a hint, Danny Brown. Those are great sequels. So, yeah. A book you haven't read in years. I would say Little Women. I read that when I first started reading as a kid. I haven't read that in years. A book you own but hate the cover. Okay. So, Olivia Day, or Dag, I think it's Dade. Dade. Has a book called Teach Me, and they revamped the cover, so the new cover is nice. The original cover is garbage, and hopefully I put it here so you can see how much garbage it is. A book you always recommend. I no longer always recommend one book. I used to do that, and my mom kind of helped me understand that when you're recommending books, and you should be mindful of the person you're recommending the book to. So she's like, ask questions. Like, Do you like murder mysteries? Do you like thrillers? And even if it's a book you haven't read and you've heard good things about, you can still make a suggestion. She's like, but don't always say, oh, you should ultimately read this book, unless the person reads the same types of books, or ask you, what is your favorite book? Then you can say, well, this is my favorite book. But there's not always recommendation I ever give anymore. It's always, I want to find out what type of reader you are before I suggest anything. Okay, next questions. Books with or without illustrations. I don't really mind illustrations. I will tell you this, as someone who just recently read Kenya Wright's book series, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to warn you. These are adult illustrations in these books. So don't be reading this at work next to nobody, because you're going to get your feelings hurt. But I don't mind. Either way, illustrations or no illustrations. A couple books that you read but didn't enjoy. The Divergent series, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Let's Talk About Love. I could go on. Those are some. Everyone knows that my most hated book is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I used to say it was because of how the book was introduced to me, but the more and more I think about it, it's just, it's a shitty book. It's just a shitty book. I'm just going to say that out loud. All right, a book you bought just off of the cover, and unfortunately this wasn't one of my favorite books. I bought two books off of the cover, and neither one of them were my favorite books. So The Daughters of Nairi, which I just recently read, and then Let's Talk About Love, another book that I just loved the cover and I hated the book. Do you carry a book bag? If so, what's inside of it besides books? So I don't, actually, technically I do. I do carry a book bag, but it's more of a purse. But I don't carry it always. I carry it when I need to, like to carry some stuff for my daughter. Otherwise, I carry this very small wallet looking thing. It literally just drapes across me, and all I can put in it is another wallet and my phone, and that's it. So yeah, I don't really carry a purse. And again, if I did carry a bag, it would have my kids' stuff in it, like books for her or toys for her. Next question. Do you get sick in the car while reading? No. I love reading in the car. I love it. Do you have any funny stories involving books from your childhood? And it says, please share. I just had this quick conversation with Intentionally Bookish. She put up this meme on her channel where the person is like reading every second of the day. Like they're reading as they're walking, they're reading as they're putting their clothes on. And I said, that's so me. And she said, she's like, it's a wonder how we haven't hurt ourselves. And it's true. I'm really cognizant of when I'm reading, my space around me. I'm very aware of it. Even if I'm listening to a book, I'm still very aware of like my space around me. So no, I don't really have any stories about book, from a kid, like hurting myself while reading a book. But I do have a lot of fun stories about hurting myself in general. My left foot I've had stitches in it. I've cut the entire top of my foot open to the point where they thought I wasn't going to be able to use it again. Fun story. It was a fun story. I'll tell it one day. But yeah, so I've done crazy things. I've gotten stuck in a tree. I got the same foot stuck in a tree. I stuck the same foot after getting the stitches out of it from when I cut the top of it open. After getting the stitches out, I stuck it in a bicycle because I was riding on the handlebars of a bicycle, stuck it in the spokes, and fell over, and my foot was still caught in the bike. I have a bunch of stories. I'm not going to get into all of them. But yeah, I have done a lot of stuff. I know this term is probably problematic now, or probably not right, and I don't mean any harm by it, but I am the quintessential tomboy. Still am. I still want to paintball. I want to do anything. I want a dirt bike. I want to do all that stuff, but I also want my nails to be pretty. Okay. Anyways, next question. Do you smell books? Oddly, yes. When I buy a book, I do smell it, but I don't usually buy physical books. Next, do you write as well as you read? Do you see yourself becoming a future author? I don't see myself becoming a future author. However, I do write short stories, and I did that because I was always having these dreams about these two characters and this really sweet, like, love story that was kind of a thriller. And my husband was like, write it down. Because I would, like, just tell him, and he was like, this is so vivid. You need to write this down. This is amazing. You should write this down. So I have wrote a few stories, and I've actually taken a few writing classes. And that's why I do Trope Thursdays now, because I'm learning about tropes throughout different genres and how they apply. So yeah, I don't see myself ever publishing anything I write, but for the sake of my brain, I do write down my short stories or my dreams that I have about, romance, thrillers. I've never had a full-fledged fantasy dream when it comes to like a fantastical world, but I have had like murder mystery dreams and just the genres that I read in the most. I've had dreams that are kind of centered around that. Okay, next question. Drink of choice while you're reading. Water. I mean, anything that's near me. So if it's water, I'm drinking water. And yes, I know I say water funny. I'm from the South. But yeah, that's it. Fictional character you would have dated in high school. First of all, Rebecca wouldn't be letting me date anybody in high school. And Rebecca is my mama. And so if there was someone, it would probably be Sherlock Holmes, because I really enjoy intelligent people. That's why I'm married to my husband, because he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. And he is, so it would be Sherlock Holmes, but Rebecca's been like, I don't care. You tell him to take his behind home. You tell Sherlock he need to go home. Okay. All right. Next question. Glad you gave this book a chance. There's so many. I want to say, what's the one book? Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory, because I initially wasn't going to read it because it was the hype. It was like so hyped, and I was just like, I'm not a real big hype person when it comes to books. So I did read it, and I'm very happy I gave it a chance. All right. Harry Potter series or Twilight? Give 3 points to defend your answer. Harry Potter. First, I'm going to say great world building, great character building / plot, and also there's less problematic relationships in Harry Potter. All right, next, hidden gem. I was just talking about this with Key from Just Key. She talks about this book that in her live stream about her milestone of 1,000 subscribers, which I'm so proud of you, sis. You do your thing, sis. She was talking about this book called Flat Out Love, the series called Flat Out Love. It is probably one of the most... I read this book a long time ago, like years ago, and I loved it because it dealt with so many things. It dealt with, of course, a little bit of romance. It dealt with a person who was on the autism spectrum, and it also dealt with a family who was dealing with remorse. So there's all this stuff that is just in this little book series. And you first start with Flat Out Love, then there's Flat Out Matt, and then there's Flat Out Celeste. And I loved everything about that series. And it's not enough people talk about it. And I agree, it's one of my favorite books I've ever read. And I don't mention it a lot because I think it's not really huge on BookTube. I think Key's right. We just need to talk about it more. All right. Next, how many books are you currently reading? So if you don't count well-read Black Girl, which I am counting, so 1, I'm reading a slew of comic books because I am in Comic Book Fest. April begins Comic Book Fest for me and my friends, and so I am going to, currently I'm reading 2 comic books, well-read Black Girl and The Year of the Witching, or The Witching Year, which I just got from my public library, so technically 4 books. All right, so how many books do you own? So first of all, I would like to say, before I answer this question, because I had to write down a number here, I would like to say, if you judge me for this number, no, I don't care. All right, So the first is physical books I own, 40. Ebooks, 284. Audiobooks, 384. Total, 708 books I own. Okay, again, I don't care. I don't care if you judging me. I get it. I get it. All right. So next, if you were given a book as a present that you have read before and hated it, what would you do? I've said this before. I have, because of my childhood, I don't throw away gifts that people give me. Either I ask for permission to give them to someone else because I no longer use them, or I believe it would serve someone else better. But I don't throw away people's gifts because I feel like if you take the time to think enough of me to buy me a gift, I won't disrespect you by manhandling it or not using it appropriately. So I would keep it. I would probably reread it just to see maybe if I was in the mood and that's why I didn't like it, or I would say, hey, I've read this. I know someone who wants to read this. Would you be okay with me giving it to that person? So I would do that. It says most important moment in your life, in your reading life. My daughter loving to read. Like, that is probably the biggest thing that has impacted my reading, is me finding books for her to read. And I hope she continues to like to read, because I think that's one thing that we both will have in common. That, you know, she's also a bit of a tomboy, so we had that in common too. So yeah, her love of reading. A book you just finished. I just finished a comic book about Wonder Woman. I will put the picture here. And I would like to say that comic book is straight fiery garbage. They turn Wonder Woman's mom into this like scorned lover, and I'm gonna keep going. Books you will never read. First of all, there's never a book it says here, kinds of books you would never read. There's never a kind of book I won't read. There's books that I stay away from. I try to stay away from anything with too much gore in it. If it's hella gory, I'm probably going to stay away from it. And I'm not a huge fan of sci-fi, so I probably will stay away from it too. But I have read sci-fi that I loved. I love Benti. Gore, which is funny, is because I read a series called the Pendergast series, and there's tons of times that there's gore in that, and I'm okay with it. But like just straight horror gore, I'm probably not. You probably not gonna get me to read that. Okay. Longest book you've ever read. So this is kind of hard for me because I don't know for sure if, do I have it up here? Is it up here? It's not up here. It's not. I thought it was up here. It's not. I was for sure it was a historian, but I guess, I don't know. It's downstairs. It's not. It's a book called Lethal White technically it's by J.K. Rowling. It's written under her pen name, but it was 777 pages. If I ever get the courage to complete Moby Dick will probably be the longest book I've ever read. Let's see. Forbidden Love or Love Triangle? Neither. I hate love triangles. I hate them. I'm always like, if you don't go find somebody else to spend your damn time with, she is not, or he is not, the only damn person in the world. I hate love triangles. I hate them. And I hate Forbidden Love because Forbidden Love is always like on usually it's on some old creepy shit, like a person who is technically your stepbrother, or your cousin, like y'all cousins, but not by true blood, like something like that. Or I really don't like people messing with people's family members, like in romance. I hate when people date like, oh, I'm really interested in her older brother, or he's really interested in somebody's younger sister. I don't usually mind it if it's like, oh, that's my cousin. But like when it's brother or sister, and worse, mother or father or daughter, I don't like that. I don't like that type of story. I don't. And I think the one I hate the most was a story I read where the dude was dating his son's ex-girlfriend. Number of bookshelves you own. I only technically own 2 downstairs and this one. I guess technically that's a bookshelf, so 4, but only 3 of them have books. I consider my book cart a bookshelf, so only 3 of them have books on it. One book you've read multiple times. It's very rare I reread a book multiple times. The only one I can think of is the Harry Potter series. I read that like every couple of years. So, quotes that inspire you. Okay, so I have several. I have one that says, "There is no greater agony than bearing the untold story that is inside you." And that is by Maya Angelou. And that's from the book, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Another one from that book is called, Instead, pursue things you love and do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you. That is how I work. That is how I do everything. I just do it to the max, to my fullest extent. And hopefully people like it. If they don't, I've given it everything. And if it's not something you like, okay. Next, a quote I have here really quick, and this one is the one that helps me stay accountable for what my choices are in life. Life is going to give you just what you put in it. Put your whole heart in everything you do and pray, and then you can wait. These are all from Maya Angelou. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. This is an amazing book, and so those are my quotes that keep me inspired. Book that you regret reading is the next question. Everyone knows 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I wish I would have never read that shit. I wish I would have stayed off the hype train and just kept reading other stuff. And if you want to know why I hate that book so much, I have like 1,000 videos of why I hate it. But if you want to have a personal conversation about why I hate it, I would love to. Because, again, I would love someone to challenge my beliefs on that book. But I don't think anyone can ever get me to feel different about how they let a black man take the rap for, I'm spoilers, they let a black man take the rap for something a white person did. The woman in the story basically let herself be whitewashed so that she could be more appealing to white America. She was in a toxic relationship. She used every man in the story. And there was lightweight, age inappropriate sex. She was a horrible mother. Like, I don't even know what else. She tried to basically pay this girl reparations for what she let her father take, and then she sullied his memory to her. Like, I think that's the part that messes me up the most, is like, that part messes me up so up. She sullied his memory to his daughter, which makes me very angry a lot. Okay. Next book, romance or action pack with a few love scenes in. I would say a mix. I love romance. Everyone knows that. I love an action-packed book. That's why I read the Pendergast series. And every now and then in the Pendergast series, a little bit of love. So, can I get a combination? A series that you started and you need to finish, and you own all the books, or all the books are out. There's too many to name. I could start off by saying, like, there is the Murder, She Wrote. There's so many books in that series that I need to finish. There's so many series. That's the only one I can think of right now. Shifters or Angels, and why? Shifters. I don't like Angels. That's really weird to say out loud. I don't like Angel stories, I should say. 3 of your all-time favorite books. That's really hard. So I would say Harry Potter series, the Brown Sister series. Oh my goodness. There's so many. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, Color Purple. There's so many I could say are my favorite of all time. But it really depicts on my mood too, because I could say that today I love Harry Potter more than anything, and I can read a new book next year and that would overtake Harry Potter. Unapologetically a fangirl for romance and cozy murder mysteries. I have 0 F's to give about anyone who thinks that you shouldn't be reading romance or that it's mommy porn. I don't care. Next question is vampires or fairies? Vampires. I don't like fairies. I don't like them. Don't like them. I don't like fairies. Very excited for this release. The Heart Principle by Helen Wan. It's the third and final book in the Kiss Quotient series, and it is about Quan. I have been waiting to hear Quan's story for so long. Please don't do me wrong, Helen. Please don't do me wrong. What are the last 2 books you gave 5 stars to, and why? Okay, I only pick one. I said Act Your Age, Eve Brown, and I love the representation of the 2 characters, or at least one of the characters the representation of autism in the book. And then also there's this one part where Eve talks about being rejected by people because she doesn't look a certain way, and that component of that part of the book was so compelling to me. It was amazing. What book did you love while reading it but discovered later it wasn't quality writing? I don't know if I can say that's a thing, but I can say there was a book that I read that I used to rep really hard that I loved, and then I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, everything in that book is kind of problematic. Twilight series is kind of a book that I still kind of secretly love, but I have to recognize the relationships in it are problematic. Like, they're very misogynistic, and then the whole imprinting thing has always bothered me. So I will continue with that, saying that is one of my, sorry. Next question. What is your favorite word? I have a favorite phrase I like to say to people in general is, don't try me. Don't try me. Or my other one is, don't test me, because I test real well. Or my other one is, I have 0 F's to give. I left them all at home with my family. So, yeah. What is your favorite classic book? I have 2. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, and the second one is Color Purple. When did you start reading? When did you get into reading? Sorry. Around 9 or 10, Archie. Where do you read? Anywhere time will permit. This video is so long, I'm gonna have to break it up into 2. Which author's writing style is completely unique to you, and why? N.K. Jemisin. I love her writing. I love her imagination. And she's a force to be reckoned. She's a force to be reckoned with in the writing world. She's amazing. I've read several of her comic books that she's written. I'm trying to work the courage up to read her fantasy novel. So yeah. X marks the spot. Run your hand along your shelves and pick book 27. So as you see, I don't have enough books on here to pick no book 27. So I did this throw on my Audible bookshelf and on my Kindle. On my Audible, book 27 is Like Lovers Do. I don't remember who the author is. And then on my Kindle is his Highland Queen, and that's by Danica Rose, or Delilah Rose, sorry. Last book you purchased. Oh my God, what did I just purchase? What was the book I just purchased? I think I purchased... Oh my God, what was the last book I just purchased? I don't remember. I know that recently I've purchased... I don't remember. Okay, next question. I don't remember right now. Zombies or vampires, and why? Vampires. Who the fuck is out here dealing with zombies or want to deal with zombies? And last question. A Z Snatcher. The last book that kept you up way too late. Act Your Age, Eve Brown. Alright, so that is a fun tag that took me 30 minutes to film. And I'm going to go. And so until next time, you know what I'm going to say. I hope you enjoyed the tag. I hope you watched it all. It's long as hell. I'm sorry. Until next time, bye.